Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. I am Nicole, and I live here in India, and we are back.
Hello.
Hello. We're back in India. We were on vacation, and we're here. We're excited because we're both going to do a reaction to the video that was recently released with me.
Yes.
So I have obviously seen it. Laurence here did not watch it yet. So
No.
This is a blind reaction for her. I'm excited to see what she thinks about it. We're going to also take some time to talk about different pieces or portions of the video or the interview, just give some clarity on some certain things. There's been some questions online. If you have a question after you watch it, please do put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to be adding some extra things like personal pictures and photos and stuff throughout the video so that you can actually see my journey in India over the past 18 years. So let's go ahead and get started. Are you ready, Laurel?
Yes, I am.
All right. If you haven't already, give me your like, give me your subscribe, and let's go.
I've been here now 18 years, and the fact that I can still learn so much about this country is, I mean, it's sort of a testament to how big and diverse it is.
Meet Nicole, an American married to an Indian husband and living in India for 18 years. She shared the most challenging aspects of raising kids in India as an American, why she enjoys returning to India after visiting the US, and why Americans move to India to save money but often leave with nothing. I'm Max Chernov. What you knew about India before moving?
I actually got a book it was Holy Cow, and that's really what I read. And then I looked at, videos, and I watched movies, but nothing can really prepare you for
the reality.
For the reality.
So what did you do to prepare yourself for your journey here?
So I didn't read any books. It was 98, no?
Yeah,
so
a long time ago.
No internet.
Probably for the better.
It was just
scared you.
maybe. Yeah. I was scared already because I didn't even know that
Your lack of English
yeah,
was a
exactly.
problem as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you didn't really have anything. It was just sort of
no.
going to India.
I got the French version of the Lonely Planet.
Okay.
And then realized the Lonely Planet was much better than the French version, but that's pretty much it.
The Lonely Planet was for only introduction to India in 1998, people.
Yeah.
What was different, expectations versus reality?
My friend actually just
Do you think you could know which friend I'm talking about?
described it really well a few days ago when we were talking about this, and she said that it's controlled chaos. And
that was Laurel's people. That's the friend that was talking about controlled chaos.
It is. I was living in a big city at the time, but I'm originally from a very small place. So to come, like in ITPL, which is very close to, it's a huge tech park. There are probably more people in ITPL right now than my entire city. So that having that comparison or that difference is, India is huge, right? It just is, it's just so big. And I think you don't understand how big it is until you're here and how different it is until you're really here. You can read all about it, but until it's in your face and until, the smell hits you and the people hit you and everything is there, it's really hard to really understand.
So one of the things that I was actually sort of thinking about was really one of my first experiences here in India. We had landed, my husband's colleague had picked us up, and we were in his car, and I was sitting in the front seat, and I had a motorcycle that was ahead of us, and we were slightly on an incline, on a tilt, and there were two guys on the motorcycle. So the one that was riding in the back, actually swung his leg over and got off the bike. What happened though was that he was wearing a dhoti and he was not wearing anything underneath it. So that was my introduction to India. So, it was quite in your face. Welcome to India.
What's the right way to communicate and deal with Indian colleagues?
The way I really connected with my Indian colleagues at my first job was with food.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a candy dish on my desk that I
So I'm going to actually, I'm putting them in now. I'm going to be putting in my pictures of my candy dish. So you should see them appearing now and the cakes and things that I've made for the office. So I have photographic proof that I did all of this. That's here.
It was like the never-ending candy dish. I mean, I literally filled it like every couple days. And it was a way for me to get people to come to my desk and to interact and connect with me. And after the candy dish, it was, you know, on my team, I started I love to cook and to bake. So I was baking cakes and birthday cakes, and every month or so I'd have to bring in a cake for one of my colleagues. And that was really connecting with Indians here is it's food. Yeah, you bring in your snacks and your sweets, and everyone will come around your desk and you get to meet everybody.
What do you think? How has it been when connecting with your colleagues?
I don't know. I was super young the first time.
Yeah, you were.
And so in 2009, when we came, I don't know how I connected with my colleagues. I think it was just through work. You need to
Just
talk
through
to
work and talk and communication. Yeah. I bribed mine with food. I did.
Husband's native language.
Telugu.
Telugu.
Yeah, and the
That's
kids
why,
both
yeah.
speak Telugu as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are native in both languages?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that
awesome.
was really important for him when we were having kids and they were little. So
Yeah.
he always worried because, you know, I've always taken the kids for the summer holiday in the US. And we watched my husband's brother who has a similar situation. My husband's brother's partner is from Spain, and she was a teacher in the US. So during their summer holiday, she would take their son to Spain for the entire holiday. And he would come back to the US and he wouldn't even speak English, you know, let alone the little Telugu that his father had taught him.
So when Prasad saw this, the first thing he said was that you need to call your brother-in-law and tell him you
mentioned
him. And I was like, oh no, I probably should not have done that. But the struggle is real. If you look in the comments on the original video that Max has uploaded, which will be in the description here, I'll link the video in the description and his channel information. A lot of the comments were about the Telugu and the fact that my kids speak Telugu. It is, it's tough actually for, even for an Indian, like Telugu speaking couple when they go to the US or go outside of India or even sometimes within India. If you have a Telugu or a Tamil mix or some other type of any mix of languages, the mother tongue is generally always easily transferable. And then if you have like a middle common language, that's also something that would easily be transferable or like that kids could connect with because they're seeing their parents speak it together. But it's maybe the father tongue or the other tongue, or it would be the father tongue because we already established the mother. So the father tongue is a little bit more difficult to learn for them to pick up because as you know, most people understand, or I guess, I don't know, most dads, I don't mean to bag on dads, but most dads can get a bit lazy, and it's easier for them to converse with their kids in the middle language that's known, or even the language that they know with their wife. That's if they have more than one. I mean, you guys have more than one, right?
Yeah, we have more than one, but I disagree with you. I think, and I don't want to start a debate.
Like a fight or a
debate?
debate?
A debate. No, not with you, but with
the
people
men.
outside. No, I don't think at all it's the men's fault. I think it's the couple fault.
Well, yeah, it's couple. I mean, it's couple.
I mean,
but
my kids were speaking Telugu like yours until they were 4 or 5. And then slowly stopped because we stopped making the effort. While your husband never stopped making the effort, and you encouraged that. Not that I discouraged it, but at one point I needed help for my language, and he jumped in to help with help me with my language, and his
Language
further.
suffers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's all sorts of things, but generally the onus will fall on to the father to actually make certain that
Yeah.
they're speaking to their kids as much as possible if they want them to learn that language. I can't teach my children Telugu. I could never teach them. I could reinforce the little Telugu that I've been able to learn. And taking classes is something that I'm like still dedicated. I've taken some classes. I actually have my next one on Tuesday. Like I really am trying to learn Telugu. At this point, my kids are way. I mean, they're
Yeah, they're fluent in
they're
Telugu.
fluent, so they're way higher than me. I can't teach them, but when they were little, I could only reinforce what I knew. I could never make a big impact on their Telugu. It was really up to my husband. So if you are in a relationship with a foreigner or with another, just even another Indian that doesn't speak your language, it really is up to, it is a couple, that makes the effort, but it is up to the person that wants their language known to the children to actually speak to the child or to the children and make certain that the majority of communication that you're having with that child is in the language that you want them to learn.
I would add, child and teenager, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't think it's done because they are 5 and they speak Telugu, because they forget.
Yeah,
I can
they
tell
do
you.
forget.
Yeah.
So unless they're speaking it on a daily basis and hearing it on a daily basis, they will forget. And once you get to like 4 or 5, it's super easy because they're through that language. They're picking up the extra vocab. You just need to maintain it, but you do need to maintain it. So that was a big question sort of in the interview. And I also got like, why didn't they learn Kannada? I mean, honestly, Kannada is outside in Bangalore. Yes, it is the local language. It is important to know. Unfortunately, there's only so much we can do in our family unit. My husband does know Kannada, but I don't know if he knows it well enough to teach it to our children. And we were really more prioritized on Telugu as it is our family language, and he wanted them to feel comfortable with family. So, and that was really important for us. So let's go ahead and continue. That's our learning Telugu. You want them to learn, you gotta talk.
So we watched that, and we watched, my nephew now speaks Spanish and English. He doesn't speak Telugu, although I think he's tried to learn it in college. But for our kids, my husband was like, if you take them for the entire summer, we really need to try to formulate a plan that they don't lose it the entire, everything that I've been teaching them. I learned all the little words like, cheya, chevu, like little body parts and things, muku, mudi, boja. These are little baby parts for hands and fingers and nose and things. So I learned all those, and I learned how to say eat, your food and these types of things in Telugu and counting in Telugu. And then when I would go outside, when I would take them outside, I would use that as much as possible, like in the US. And even my parents learned how to say certain words in Telugu and make sure that they could,
My parents basically know how to say palu, which is milk. My kids were always super into milk. So my parents would be like, palu, palu. They also it's not the Telugu word, but my husband taught my kids mandu, like for medicines. My parents would use mandu, and they would use palu and a couple other little small words, like tanu is eat and kucho, sit. So we all knew those types of words.
Reinforce it. And then we did daily calls back with their dad, like every day, FaceTiming them, and he would speak to them in Telugu and make certain that, they were still, understanding, so that we never ran into that problem where they lost it because we were in the US.
And just to point out, to give my brother-in-law a little bit of extra grace, back when he was raising his son over 20 years ago,
There was
FaceTime and this type of technology was not available. So it's really hard. I recognize that there's a difference. We had the ability to do that. So people that 20 plus years ago that didn't have these same tech.
Well, yeah, but
we had a higher, more struggle.
I mean, when my daughter came back to India and I was still in the Dominican Republic, I recorded songs and me telling her stories and all of that, just to make sure that she would not forget,
would not
the
forget.
French she had.
Yeah.
The French
So
she had.
you did it a different
Yeah.
way, which is also, yeah, very good.
And they were able to. It took my son a little bit longer because when my daughter was little, we had I was.
Oh, he was so mad when he heard this. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, but it did. It took you a little bit longer.
I was living with my mother-in-law she'd lived with us for 4 years. So my daughter got a real pure Telugu, like the old style Telugu from my mother-in-law. Whereas my son didn't have that, but he's still picking it. And it's hard to, when you think about all of the words and all of the, what's a tree, what's a leaf, like picking up those types of random small words, it takes a long time to formulate and to build up your language. Yeah. So, but they're both now fluent.
What's your favorite item here?
Maybe the paintings. So this is a JMS Manny. He's a well-known painter. And I was able to, I found that at one of the guys I know who goes to auctions, and I picked that up from him.
Nice.
But this is like my husband's grandmother's cupboard.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's old.
Yeah, it's very old, but it's made from jungle wood and it's from the village.
Wow.
So
nice.
He had to go in 2020, right before everything closed down in the pandemic. His family had decided to tear down their family home.
Yeah.
So he went there and tried to save as much of the furniture as he could. And that's one of the things that he always wanted was their kitchen cabinet that she had. So that's his grandmother's kitchen cabinet.
After 18 years in India, what part of you is American, what part of you is Indian?
I had a really difficult time answering this
So what's
question.
the question? I didn't hear.
After 18 years in India, what
Okay.
part of you is American and what part of you is Indian?
So it's funny because I have a feeling that all parts of me are French.
Yeah.
But then my husband keeps on saying that I'm more Indian than him. And I have a few Indian friends who are saying the same thing.
Really? So I found it, and he was asking it in different ways, and he's edited this video beautifully, so you don't see me sort of struggle to answer the question. But, the reality is that I don't necessarily feel Indian. Like, I feel like I'm me. Like, it was really hard for me to understand, like, what part of me would be Indian and what part of me would be American.
Well, what it means is that we have been influenced. I think I'm much more calm in a way. It's not the word I'm looking
Patient?
for. Yeah, I'm
I'm
not.
not.
No, you are much more than you. Look at how your family lives back home.
Yeah.
Okay, are they only always stressed? Are they always running here, there, whatever? Well, we take a little more. We appreciate life better. I think that's what Indians brought to me, at least.
Really? That's a great answer. Well, this sort of evolved into this, which is another main. It brought up a lot of comments. We'll start.
I'm sure you have so many habits and from here.
From here?
Place. Yeah. Your mindset has changed, or?
I think I have struggled with, in terms of raising my daughter. She wants to wear crop tops and short skirts and shorts. And in the US, that's perfectly acceptable. I had a really difficult time letting her wear them here. And
because people wouldn't approve.
Yeah.
And even just random people on the street.
Just either random people or you worry about guys. She's 15 years old, but she doesn't necessarily she doesn't look like a kid anymore.
Yeah.
And you worry about that. I've had my own interactions with men here that have been worrying, and I didn't want my daughter to have the same thing. And we had a lot of fights on it. We had a lot of but she said to me, and it made a lot of sense. She said that they're going to look at me anyway. Regardless of what I'm wearing, it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. And I realized that was right. One of the, I think, scarier times that I had as a foreigner, I had it in Delhi, and it was in February, and I was fully clothed, I wasn't wearing anything that was inappropriate, and I wasn't doing anything inappropriate. I understood what she said, because it doesn't really matter at that point what we're wearing.
So I will kind of, I guess, get into this a little bit. it wasn't
Well,
just,
it's,
I should have just finished this part.
These bad interactions that you experience, they're like it's a physical threat or it's like
I haven't had a lot of that here, but I've had people, touch me, and I've had people grab my hair and people touch me that, without being asked, and trying to, play it off as an accident and things like that, when it's clearly not an accident.
So I will get into this a bit. This has happened, and it's happened quite often, especially while walking in crowds. And it's happened in the South, but as I had explained, it had happened for the most part when I was in Delhi in the North. But I have to say, even here in Bangalore, I have been followed while in restaurants. I have been propositioned because they thought that I was a prostitute. I have been put into really awkward and uncomfortable situations that a woman should not have to be put into. So, and there are plenty of comments on the video that says that this can happen in New York, it can happen in any big city, and I don't disagree with that, but it's happened here, and that's me. It has been difficult. I know you've had your own issues with things that have happened here with you.
Yeah, it did. Not, I don't know, how I don't pay attention and I generally just assume I misunderstood.
Yeah.
So that it's easier. Once I couldn't misunderstand, so that ended up in a fight.
She beat him up, people. Like, she beat him up. So don't mess with the rules. She picks boxing, and she's not afraid to use her skills. I would like, and I never got a chance though to highlight though. I have traveled all over India by myself. I've traveled all over India by myself with children, small kids. I have never felt unsafe in India. Have I felt, at sometimes a bit harassed and a bit uncomfortable? Yes, I have. But I've never felt unsafe. But then
never with kids, at least.
Yeah, I do not put myself in uncomfortable or dangerous situations. I don't go to places that I don't know at night. There is there are issues in India with assault and rape and assault against women, but I tend to play safe, just like I would in any other big city or big metro area or area that I don't know. I wouldn't go walking around Paris, for instance, at 3 a.m. drunk and not know where I'm going. Like, I just wouldn't ever do that, and I wouldn't do that in any other big city. So I don't put myself in a position where I could potentially be in have a negative outcome. And I also just generally always feel safe. Yeah. So
yeah, me
I
too.
have to, I have been, like I've been uncomfortable, and I've been in uncomfortable situations, but I've never felt like I was going to be, at a potential life-losing situation. That traffic and things like that, maybe, but
Yeah.
never because of this. So I'd like to clear that up. I do feel, in general, very safe here. So let's continue.
what do you feel? Like, what's your feelings when you come to the US? Like, once a year when you're visiting?
I definitely love going back to see my family, but it's so nice to come home. Yeah. So when it's interesting because when I go to the US, it's 6 weeks of, it sounds so entitled, but 6 weeks of doing dishes and laundry and shopping and driving and more dishes and more laundry and more shopping and more driving. And when I come, I want to come back home so that I can have a break.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
So,
Having just gotten back from your trip?
no, for me, it's two different lifestyle. But
True.
in the sense that it's more It's quieter, it's
Fran?
slower, yeah. I slow down and it's quiet. It's so
Yeah.
quiet. I mean, I can hear my own head noise, you know,
Yeah.
the buzz in your, and I'm like, is it always buzzing in my head like that? But I don't
It
hear
is,
it the
but you
rest of
can't
the
hear
year.
it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I remember coming back to, like, I went to California after a couple of years for the first time, and I stepped out of the car and I got this breeze of pine trees,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my God, like the air just smelled so good, and I hadn't, like it been so long since I could breathe like that. And so, I mean, I get that. It's totally different, but at the same time, I feel like I'm working so much more when I'm in the US. And even this trip that I love seeing my parents and spending time with them as they're getting older. I have been able to, as an adult, reconnect with my sister in a way that I never thought possible. She is like my best friend. I love being able to hang out with her and spend time. At the same time, though, it is going grocery shopping, it is, planning meals and cleaning and more cleaning and more cleaning and driving and driving. And people ask me all the time, would you want to go back to the US? And my answer is no, I don't want to. I love the way that I live here. So that's my answer on that. How do you feel?
I don't know if I want to stay here or go back, or if the solution is half. I have no idea. Like I said, it's two different lifestyle. I like both. I lived one for 25 years straight.
Yeah.
I'm living this one for 15 years now. My life in the Dominican Republic was again a different lifestyle. I like this lifestyle better than the Dominican Republic one, just because it's a big city and you can go out, do things, and go see movies. I had not seen a movie
In so long.
when we were in the DR. Yeah, it's a small island with not much. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so continuing.
That I can take my vacation because because it's really not a vacation when I go home. I'm taking my kids around, I'm driving around, I'm, all the things that I'm doing there that I don't have to do here. I do one of the things, living here, generally people can, even, a broad span of people can afford help here, whether it's a cook or a housekeeper. And thankfully we have a housekeeper who helps me with laundry, who helps me do the dishes, and it's one of the nice things about living here. And then we have fabulous things like Swiggy, where I haven't gone to a grocery store probably in over a year.
What?
So yeah, there are two things. One is because I just came back. My husband is still there, right? So Swiggy.
Oh, thumbs up, people. Swiggy's the best.
Definitely there are a couple of nights where he said, hey, why can't we go Swiggy in this?
Because we're friends.
And every year we get stuck because Sunday's closed.
Mhm.
Here everything is open all the time, right?
Yeah.
In France, it's closed on Sunday. It's closed. The supermarket is closed by 7, 8 if it's a bigger one. So the
I
number
run
of
into the same
time,
thing in
yeah,
Germany.
and
Yeah.
the number of time you are like stuck. And okay, what do I do?
What do I do
Okay,
now?
what's in my fridge?
What's in there? Yeah,
So, yeah.
There was another comment too about what we should be talking about, other great apps and things, and this type of convenience in India. And there's Dunzo, there is Urban Company, or used to be Urban Clap, which we use all the time
Yeah.
for deep cleaning on bathrooms and.
Forget that, even a haircuts. Oh my god, have you seen?
We just had Urban Company here just
They come to
earlier
your
today to do a
house.
haircut for my son.
They come to your house, they do haircuts.
Mhm.
You don't have to
Worry
go
about anything. I've
anywhere.
gotten a
Wait,
massage that way. I mean,
park.
the
Oh my God.
convenience here is
Vegetables, all the vegetables delivery.
fantastic. And not only good vegetables, good vegetables. Like
Yeah.
I was getting hydroponic, romaine lettuce, like amazing. Like beautiful vegetables, organic, straight to your door, 10 minutes. Like, you can't
can't
go
beat
wrong
that.
with that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Continuing.
Like since I've been to the US. So that is fabulous to be able to order groceries to your house and not have to worry about, finding the time to go do it. And I have a lot of friends that when they move back, they've been in India for a few years, they get really used to living here. They get used to having help. They get used to having groceries delivered. And, when they go back, they find it really difficult to find the time to connect with their husband or wife or, even with their kids, because they're not only are they working constantly, then they're also on the time off. They have to go do their shopping. They have to take their kids to all of the practices and things like that. And, it's a constant running, whereas here you do have a bit of room to breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have friends or family from the US visiting you here?
It doesn't happen very often. My own parents have visited twice. My father loved it, but I think my mom had a difficult time with it here. I mean, in India it is an incredible place to visit, like tourist-wise. There are so many places that are just amazing to see. I mean, not just. The Taj, it's breathtaking, but there are so many other things that you can see here.
You said your dad loved the place.
Yes.
What was like the most, I don't know, the biggest impressions
For him? Well,
yeah.
he's a photographer. So like every place, everything he put his lens up to was like an amazing photograph. When he went back to North Dakota, he's actually part of a local art group, and he put up like a gallery show on his trip to India. So
My father also really loves spicy food, which is like the opposite of your mom.
Yes.
So your mom comes
my
quite often.
Both of them.
Yeah.
My dad couldn't do with spicy food either.
Neither?
No, it was bad.
So my father loves spicy food, but my parents have only been here twice, whereas Laurence's parents made it a point to come.
Yeah,
often.
my dad, I don't know, altogether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and the fifth time he said he couldn't, but then he was sick and it was quite difficult for him.
Mm-hmm.
Even to cross the road was a challenge, so I understood. And my mom continued going. So for my mom, she must be at 12 maybe.
Yeah, and 12 times, like that's amazing. Like, granted, France is a bit of an easier,
Since
flight.
98. Since 98, 12 times.
But,
because she came the first time I was here.
The parents have come twice, but I have been in the past disappointed with this number. Mom, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But I realized though, with the pandemic, because I did in 2018, I told my parents that I would not be coming back every year anymore, that I wanted to go outside and at least every alternate year come back, but every alternate year go somewhere else and visit friends. And in 2019, I had a brilliant vacation visiting amazing friends in France, with you and another set of friends, and then we flew to Germany and visited another set of friends, and it was just great. We had a great time, and then the next year, we had COVID and everything shut down, and I have to say, my parents, at least my dad, he got quite sick, and it was eye-opening for me that I cannot go. I cannot not go. I love seeing them. I love being with them, and I need to take the time while they're here with me to visit them. Yeah. So I go now every year. I wouldn't mind if they would come, but I know now that it's also they've gotten older, and flights with for older people can be very difficult. But I still do enjoy my time, and I have appreciated the times that they have come to visit me here. So continuing.
He just thought it was amazing. It wasn't, it was the opportunity for photographs and things like that, but I think it was just so different. I know my husband ended up taking them on they call it the chicken train, like they ended up on some small local train from like Agra to Delhi with chickens, and they had hijras on there.
So I don't know if you got the subtitle right there. They had the hijras. like that's what they have to train.
What do you mean? Oh, okay.
That was a new experience for my parents, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And chickens, live chickens, and other types of animals. And it was a real local train.
Oh, I have some parenting.
Which I think, like, my dad thought it was, this is awesome. And I think my mom was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on this train. Their experiences were just like so different that the way they experienced it, he thought it was amazing. And she was just like, this is not okay.
Yeah. Any advice for fellow Americans who want to visit India? How to get the most out of it, but not to be overwhelmed?
If you're going to do a visit, I'd make sure that you go into a hotel that you are comfortable with. Make sure, I made a mistake a long time ago where I booked a hotel that I hadn't really looked into, and it was awful, so it was a huge mistake on my part, and that was 18 years ago, and I had booked it online. I mean, I think that probably happens less now, but make sure you're staying in a comfortable place, because India can be an assault on the senses. You can get sick. You don't want, if you have a day where you have to be in your hotel room, you want to make sure you have a nice bathroom. You want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
So I would make sure that you're in a good place initially, that you know your stomach, right? I have a stomach of steel. I can literally eat anything off the road. My husband from India cannot, So if you are a person that gets sick really easily, don't eat a lot of street food. Don't eat, eat inside. But the beauty of India is that you can really have amazing places to eat here. The restaurants are fabulous. So you can really find anything within like any budget. So eat at good places, make sure things are good, and make sure I would hook up with, reputable tour guides, depending on if you know anyone here or not. It's hard maybe to plan everything yourself. Maybe make sure you have a tour guide, or make sure like a company that can organize things for you, take you around to the good spots. And that's how I would start in terms of a vacation. I mean, if you're really well traveled and you can do it all on your own, that's fine. But my parents actually, they were going to try to surprise us, and they forgot to get visas. So if you're an older traveler, or if you're an inexperienced traveler, the first place to start really is to make sure you have an up-to-date passport. Make sure that you have the correct visa. Make sure you're actually ready to come to India. That there's, Americans in particular have the idea that we can go anywhere. I just have my passport, and that's not true. Most places you need to get a visa. So make sure you have all that, and then come. And it really depends. If you're really a seasoned traveler and you can get out there and be on the road and things, then you can do it. But if you're experiencing sort of outside for the first time, I would definitely do a good travel agent and book things through them.
What do you think?
I was actually wondering. I had a thought which I lost on the way. Something you said where I was like, oh yeah, and oh yes, I remember. Not only that, I don't know if you remember. We booked a hotel for my mom and my cousin.
Oh yeah.
And they ended up being refused because the hotel was fine. The pictures were beautiful and all of that. But in small print somewhere was written that it was not for foreigners.
Yeah.
So they ended up being told they had not slept through the night. My mom is elderly. And they just said the taxi had left. And they just said, no, please find somewhere else to go. Yeah. That was
so I didn't necessarily like my response here. Like, I felt like I kind of went into a circle about the travel agent. I mean, travel agents can be important, but I think starting at the beginning and making sure that you have what you need. And I talked about Americans thinking that they kind of can go anywhere. That's more of a younger attitude. I didn't mean to, I felt a little bit bad when I watched this, because it looked sort of like I was calling out my parents. But my parents, they were a bit older, and I had taken care of their first visa initially, so they didn't even know what went into the process of getting that visa. I've talked to a lot of young Americans that just think that they can come over here and get a job and it was going to be easy and they're going to live in India. And that was more of the attitude that I was referring to when I was referring to Americans thinking that they can come. But, making certain that you have, that you have your visa and that you're ready to go and that you've, looked at, the different seasons when you're coming, what you want to see. And I think I've also made a mistake a couple of times, even recently, where I have someone come to visit and I tried to shove so much into like such a short time. And the reality is it probably hurts it and doesn't make it better. Like I really want to show them so much because there's so much to see and do here. India is incredible. It is amazing, beautiful. Bharat. There is just so much going on here, and you want to take them south, you want to take them north, you want to go to east, you want to touch every place, and it is impossible on a 10-day vacation in India.
Yeah, I have my brother coming next summer, and I was telling them that I said, you need to tell me what you want to see.
What you want to see.
Because we can't.
So, we did when my parents first came, that first trip of them, it was part of their, negative experience was my fault. Like we tried to do way too much with them. We tried to take them everywhere. They ended up on a chicken train, which yes, my dad loved, but I don't think my mom did. There were things and experiences that I think that they could maybe have not had to have seen. I think it was really difficult coming from such a small place that, we come from. And that's something to think about when you're planning your vacation here. Like, what do you want to see? And just recognizing that you're not going to be able to see it all, and to maybe think that you have to come back.
Yeah. If you're moving here, I would say, I have seen so many foreigners come and expats come to India with the assumption that they are going to save so much money. And they leave here with nothing.
I shouldn't say nothing. They just leave here with not what they thought they were going to save. They thought they were going to save so much. It's not that they leave with absolutely nothing, but they had a number in their head and they did not reach that number. And
like we are going to save half of
our salary,
and
or
then
half
they
of
don't.
this, and then they don't. And
Okay.
there are many reasons why. Max does sort of mention that, Americans do this, but I've seen all sorts of expats do this. They come in, and it's not just because they have, 2 nannies or 3 housekeepers and a full-time driver or 2 drivers.
Well, that's already
I've seen
part
all
of
that.
it.
Yeah, that's part of it. But then we also take expensive vacations because they're so close to the Maldives, because they're so close to Bali, because they're so close to other parts of India. They're doing vacations all over the place. And I mean, it is sort of a once in a lifetime experience in terms of, as an expat, that maybe this is the one time that they're going to get 4 or 5 years away living in India and being able to explore that. So they do all the things. And then at the end, they're like, wow, that was way more expensive than we thought.
At least nothing saved, like they're like, I'm going to save. Like everything here is so cheap. And that is just not the case. It is, house help and things are affordable, but I've known people that had 2 nannies, a gardener, a driver, these types of things. Like you're bleeding money and you don't even realize you're bleeding money, like just because, you can do it, you really do have to look at your monthly expenses and make sure you can afford it. And generally speaking, when we go out for dinner and it isn't cheap. We are paying what we would pay in Europe or what we would pay in the US. So you really have to think about that. If you're eating in home, you can do it in a fairly, with a budget.
Yeah. Even cheaper. Like in Germany, I was drinking €6 glasses of wine. €6. Here a glass of wine is, I was looking at a menu last night, it was 800 rupees for 1 glass of Prosecco. So,
more expensive, yeah.
It was more expensive here.
But I don't eat rice every day. I don't make it, a lot of Indian food, especially like vegetarian food can be very economical here. But if you're having a lot of meat or, if you're like, I love German sausages, They're not cheap. These types of things that if you incorporate them in your diet, you can end up, spending quite a bit on food, way more than you would anticipate when you come. So if you are here, like living here, I would definitely look at making certain that you are budgeting in the right way if you really do want to save while you're living here. Because it is super easy to go out. Because if you have a nanny every day to go out with your wife, you might choose to do that. You go out, right? Whereas in the US, you're like, oh, I can't pay that $50 for the babysitter because, it's way more expensive and you might only go out once a month. Whereas here, you're going out way more often. The nightlife in Bangalore is fabulous. So it's really easy to get caught up and to go out 2, 3, 4 nights a week.
I think I was just thinking, I think another reason they're not saving is that they don't give Indian food a chance. They try many different continental food and this and that. I'm thinking about that because we had friends who stayed here for 4 or 5 years, and their son was friend with our son, and yours too. And he had never tried idli. The day he was living was the week he was living. He had a sleepover with both our kids, and the idli was the first time he was trying it.
Oh, that's shocking, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, did I just spend $1,000 this month on drink? And it can really add up quick. This is actually a painting. Can you recognize what it is?
Looks like a heart.
Like a heart?
It does sort of look like a heart.
Made out of leaves.
So what it is I had always wanted a Ganesh in the house.
Yeah.
But I didn't want a typical Ganesh. So this is actually a Ganesh. If you look at it, the leaves on the sides are the ears. And then you have the big one for the face and the trunk. And the banana is the hand. Yeah. So that's a Ganesh.
And you also have your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I do. I have a YouTube channel.
Why you started?
Why did I start? I started so I could get my husband to shut up. And that is the truth.
I felt like that was really rude, but it was really the truth. Like, he just kept on talking to me about it.
100% the truth.
He talked to me about it for almost 2 years. It was just talk.
And bugged me about it for close to 2 years. He told me I should do it. I mean, India has a huge presence on YouTube. I think it's 60 or 70% of viewership is in India. And YouTube itself is set to be huge here, to grow. And my husband being Indian, he told me that, Indians love to, they love sharing their culture with people. They love having foreigners react to their content and see their content. And you should do this. You should do a reaction.
You wear the same shirt.
And I got him on it for close to 2 years. And I remember I was laying in bed one night and I was we had the YouTube discussion, an hour previously. I was just like, I just need him to shut up. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give my 100% effort for 6 months because then I can tell him, look, I tried. I did all of this. Like, I found out how to do the reaction, because you have to figure out like what platform you're going to use. And I had to figure out how to do thumbnails, which I'm still not good at. Like all of these things that I do by myself, and it's extra work. I have a full-time job. And I told him, I told him I will give 6 months, and then I was going to be able to put it to rest and just be like, see, it did not work. I was right, you were wrong. Unfortunately, he was right. I was wrong. I mean, I actually, I have to say, I didn't want to do it at first, but I think within the first 5 or 6 months, it really became something that I enjoyed. And I do go through like spurts where it's like I don't really want to record anything, and I'd rather sit and talk to my friend than make her be in a video with me, because I do a lot of recording with one of my really good friends, Laurence. She's from France and she's been here for 15 years. I do a lot of recording with her, but sometimes I just don't want to record anything at all. But then if you don't upload things on
there are times we do it. We try recording and we don't.
Everything kind of goes down. It keeps you having motivated to keep it up. But I've really started to enjoy it. And I've kind of switched now. I was doing a lot of movie content, a like South Indian actors. You know, there's Mahesh Babu, who I love, and Vijay Telepathy, and Junior NTR, and Allu Arjun, like all these guys that I actually did not know of at all until I moved here. They're all fabulous actors, and I love watching them. But I've kind of switched now to more of, you know, what is making India great, like what happened to India in the past, and where's India going in the future, and incredible India type content. And I've learned a lot about India, which is interesting. You know, interesting. I've been here now 18 years, and the fact that I can still learn so much about this country is, I mean, it's sort of a testament to how big and diverse it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've been doing more content on that.
Sometimes we have these comments like, oh, you YouTubers, you come to India just to milk Indian audience.
Milk of the
Yes,
Indian
you
audience.
also have it.
I do. I have gotten that. I do. Some of them have. I'm not going to say that they don't have a point. I mean, there are people that do come. I mean, I think, and they're not even coming here. Like the ones that, at least if you're coming here and you're making an effort to connect with India and you're making an effort to learn about India, and that is valid. Like that, and that's okay. There are YouTubers that are sitting in other countries that only react to Indian content, but have never been here. You know, they have no actual connection to India. So when they say that to me, I get a little bit upset. I mean, I live here, you know, I'm married to an Indian. So I see what they're trying to say, but I also think like, it's up to people with what they want to watch. Like if you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it, you know, and you don't, I think it's unnecessary to go through and troll people or leave comments like that. And if you are, I mean, if you are really so unhappy about it, then leave comments on channels that have never been here. Right?
Yeah, it's a different story. I personally I'm super grateful to my Indian audience.
Yeah.
They're like super receptive. They're super active also, like
Yeah.
super engaged. What I like about India, they are super engaged. Sometimes the people, it's not only in India, but sometimes people don't understand the economy of like doing the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Because
they think
like,
we're making so much money.
Yeah, because like you actually can make a lot of money. It depends.
It depends, and he's going to talk about this, and he has, I think, a great resource for people that want to learn how to develop content. But in India specifically, it also depends on, you know, everywhere it depends on what type of content you make. But in India specifically, we do make less. I am not rolling in the money. This is not even supplementing my income at this point. I would have to have quite a few, I mean, way more. Subscribers, like 10 or even 15, 20 times the amount that I have right now to actually make any type of money, like real money, where I can be like, I quit my job. Like I can't quit my job. I can't even afford someone to edit my videos or to create thumbnails for me. I do all of that myself. So I'm not rolling in money making this content. I am enjoying making it. I do enjoy spending my time with my friend Laurence like this. Sometimes, like I said, we just talk and ignore the laptop.
Yeah, we don't record.
But we do have a nice time together doing this. And I so much appreciate her time that she gives to me doing this as well. Because I don't know if I don't like doing this as much alone. So being with her makes a difference.
It's on your business model. It depends on like, do you do sponsorships, affiliates? Do you know how the algorithm works, how the thumbnails, ideas? That's a lot of this. We actually
work with me in a
have
sponsorship.
maybe if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel, we have a guide how to make your first $1,000 from YouTube. So we put the link. It's free guide, so you can download. It's not like
I'll have to get your guide.
Okay, you don't do it.
I got it. I read it. I got it.
It's like if you, let's say, you want to invest, like you kind of have to learn how to invest, or if you want to like work as an engineer or like do stuff. So you kind of need to understand how it works. Yeah. With YouTube, it's the same.
I still don't.
It's not like you start posting content and then you have views straight away. You kind of need to understand the algorithm, the idea creation, the thumbnails, the storytelling. And then, in this guide, we actually mentioned some of this. So check it out.
Yes.
If you want to hear more stories of inspirational, fun, and impactful people, watch the next video. I promise you will enjoy it. No, seriously, you will.
Well,
this guy.
I have to say, interview with Max was fabulous. I'm so happy that he gave me the opportunity to sit down and talk with him He is living in Singapore now. He's originally from Russia, and he spent some years with his wife in Ireland, working there. And he worked for a huge brand name there. And he gave up his job, and she's working in Singapore. And he's a content creator full time.
Okay.
And his channel is all about connecting expats and building bridges and sharing expat stories. For people not just in India, but people in all sorts of countries, and he's branching out and going to new places. And it was a real pleasure to work with him.
He really had
And,
interesting questions.
he did, and it was really a great way to. It was just more of like a discussion, and like I said, he did edit out quite a bit of it because I can ramble. I'm probably not the easiest person to interview, but he did it in a great way, and he put together a really lovely video, and I genuinely appreciate that. So if you have any questions that I didn't answer that you would like, please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Do you have anything else you want to talk about or about the video?
No,
The
I
interview?
really liked the video. You look great on top of it.
Hmm?
You look great
I look great.
on the video, yeah.
Oh, I did. I know.
Yeah, amazing. I know you were tense and worried about it.
I
so-
was, and I have to say, people, one of the things that I think was over the 2 years that my husband was trying to convince me to record. One of the things I was most worried about was the way that I look. I don't necessarily like the way that I look, and I was really worried about putting that out in front of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, that's one. And two, it's also the fact that even while you're recording, forget other people. While you're recording, you keep on looking at yourself.
Yeah.
It's the same as what we did during the pandemic. I mean, whenever we walked in front of the camera, we kept on looking at ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I think, it was a big step for me that I have, I think I've become more confident, being a content creator on YouTube has really helped me to feel better about myself and the way that I look. And it's given me a bit of a boost, which maybe I needed in my
Nice.
40s or 30s.
20s.
Late 20s, maybe late 20s. So, people, if you like the content, please give a like, please give a subscribe. As always, we love you and bye-bye.
Bye.